Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. And on today's show, I have the great honor to have Kim Sutton with me. And Kim is the producer, the founder, the CEO of Positive Productivity. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I am super happy to have you here. This is awesome. So, Kim, can you tell us, what is positive productivity?
That's such a great question because so many people think I talk about productivity all day long. But if you just take a step back, what I really want, especially entrepreneurs, to understand is that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. That is not my original quote. I don't know where I found it. But I've learned that I've tried to overextend myself numerous times in my business. And the key word is try. And that when I finally learned that I just can't do everything, that's when everything started to soar.
Awesome. Kim, you and I have spoken one time before because I was actually on your podcast, which is also named Positive Productivity. And it's a wonderful podcast. I loved being on your show. And one of the things that you had talked about is you had said that it's our life experiences that get us to where we are today. And this whole thing also about overextending ourselves, because everything that we do ties into everything that we do and what we are and who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. But if you can tell us about a life experience, or many, it's up, you get to run with that one, that got you to where you are today. Can you share something with us about that?
Sure. So in 2008, I was an interior architect, and I was also at night, because I worked full time at a day job with the hour commute each way. At night, I was building a business, my first business, and I was sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night regularly, and I was not taking care of myself. In January 2nd, 2008, I was admitted to the mental hospital because the sleep deprivation plus a variety of other self-care issues, I was suicidal. And I was out of work for 6 weeks, and we can all play the blame game all day long. Yeah. But what I realized was that I had no one to blame but myself. And in August 2008, as a result of both the economy and my work performance, I lost my job. And that's where the blame game comes in. For the longest time, I was really angry, that I hadn't gotten more help and this and that. But as my journey continued, the synchronistic, maybe that's not the right word, events started happening where I just kept on winding up where I knew I was supposed to be at each time. And I had never felt that before. So I went.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I have to. So I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize. Are you kidding?
I love this because it is. Yes, that is the synchronicity. When something happens and it completely derails us, and then all of a sudden, right, our life is in a completely different direction, and these synchronistic events that keep showing up and kept showing to you that you were moving in the right direction. I totally love that. And I want you to share with us, if you're willing to, what some of those synchronicities were that showed up in your life that made you know you were on the right path.
Oh, I would love to. So the first event that happened was that I found a local networking group in my small town. Now, as I said, I worked an hour away from where we live, and we moved here from New York to Ohio for my job. So
Mm.
I knew nobody in my town except for other parents for my kids' sports, right? So I just happened to come across this networking group, and I'm at the first meeting, and there was a chiropractor there who was offering one free adjustment for any new patients. And I was so stressed out that my shoulders felt like they were up to my earlobe. So I went in,
Mm.
and I know the adjustment was amazing, but it was more than just a physical adjustment. It was a mental adjustment as well, because we got into a conversation, and that chiropractor is now one of my dearest friends
Mm.
10 years later. But we were talking about movies, which led into him asking if I had ever heard of the law of attraction. And I
Wow.
hadn't. I had no spiritual beliefs at that time because I was just still in a dark place. And he told me a little bit about it. And I went home and I looked it up. And I realized in that very moment that I had the right to choose whether or not I was happy. And it had never occurred to me before that I had a right to choose. I
Mm.
just thought my life was how my life was. Deal with it.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Because I believe that that's how the majority of people live their life. They don't realize that they have the right to choose to look at life differently, think of life differently, show up in life completely differently. And what a blessing that that this chiropractor shared that with you. That's what a beautiful synchronistic event.
Yeah, and it only got better. Do you want to hear two
Yeah,
more things that
yeah,
happened
yeah,
immediately after that? So
yeah.
this was early days of Facebook. Yes, I was on Facebook, but Facebook groups weren't there then. So I went into Yahoo groups for the law of attraction. People were talking about how they wanted to win the lottery. And I said what was exactly on my mind. I said, I don't care about winning the lottery. I just want to work with somebody who won. And I was still trying to build my own interior design practice. No joke. A month later, the same chiropractor calls me after he has lunch with a friend. And he says, Kim, I was just out to lunch with my financial planner, and he has been hired by the winners of the Mega Millions, a whole group of in Piqua, Ohio, a whole bunch of city workers had won the Mega Millions, like $200 million. And
Wow.
one of these families wants to do design in their home. Do you want to
Wow.
talk to them? How crazy is that?
I love that. Isn't that fantastic? Oh my goodness. I love that. Did you go and do it?
Well, I talked to them a few times, and long story short, we never ended up doing work together. I think that they may have actually moved because
Okay.
um,
They have a lot of money.
lottery does crazy stuff to people, and it wasn't that it did crazy stuff to them. It's just the people who came out of the woodwork and wanted money. So I
Yeah.
think they picked up and moved. But that's when I really got to see, oh my gosh, this is real.
Yeah.
I can somehow or another, and I'm not trying to be too woo here, but I can guide things to happen. So
Yeah.
a year after that, that was 2009, maybe a year and a half later, I had moved my then business down into my own office outside of my home. And I had a TV down there, and I was watching The Bucket List, which I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Now, I think you already know this, but I'll share with the listeners. I was in a bad marriage. Um, my now ex-husband and I get along better now than we ever did when we were dating or married. We were high school sweethearts who just shouldn't have gotten married.
Yeah.
But I was on my way out. I had already found an apartment, and I needed to get out for my emotional safety.
Mm.
And I was watching the movie, and I decided, you know what? I had never had a bucket list. You know what? I'm going to create a soulmate spec sheet.
Mm.
So it was something like 60 items long. I still have it. It's in my underwear drawer to show my grandkids someday. I created it, put it aside. 3 weeks later, the apartment is finalized. I'm on Craigslist looking for furniture, and I see this little button that says men looking for women. No joke. I went in there to laugh at men. I had no intention of ever being with anybody. First one I click on, I laugh at him. He's totally not what I'm looking for. Second one, I'm now married to.
How did that come about? Do you want to share? I did not know that is how you found your second husband. How did that happen? Did you have to contact him? Did he contact you? I didn't even know you could find a man on Craigslist. I didn't know you
Yes.
could do that.
Well, you can. And the common joke when I tell people is, and you're still alive, because there's this misnomer of the Craigslist killers, which
Oh,
is totally, it's not accurate. I even found my house on Craigslist. Well, it found me. Um,
wow.
but what happened was I sent him an, a message through Craigslist and I said, look, I'm going through a divorce, but if you're still single in 6 months, I would love if you would put your post back up. I'm just, now's not a good time. Well, he completely ignored that whole part, and we ended up meeting 2 days later.
Did you know then that he had that? Did you have the spark for him and he had the spark for you, or was it one of those things where it took a little bit of time to know that he was going to be the one?
Oh, the spark was there from the very beginning. He is most definitely my soulmate. And get
Uh,
this, when he showed up, he drove the exact same car, same exact color as I did, just a 1 year different.
oh, you're kidding.
Mm-mm. And it's not like it's a white or blue or black car. It was this turquoise-ish color Chevy Cobalt. It's
Wow.
not like you just go when it's the most, common color on the lot. This was absurdity, if I can say so, in its
Yes.
best way. So
Yes.
yeah, we we dated for about a month and then we broke up for 3 months because I scared everything out of him. He had had a whole bunch of just less than desirable women in his life, and then we got back together, and that was mm, however many years ago that was, 8.5, 9, somewhere in there.
Okay.
He would
Yeah.
probably be able to tell you. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then it just it's been going like that. And what I realize is that when I'm negative about something, it just goes downhill. And when I'm positive and I keep my eyes on hope, they're a new belief, right?
Right.
It just keeps on getting better.
Absolutely. And people think, and this is one of the things, because I love working with the law of attraction, and it's been called woo woo for forever. But quantum physics is able to prove all of the stuff that people used to call woo woo. And it's things that old ancient mystics were doing thousands of years ago. And when we know that our thoughts have an electromagnetic frequency and we literally send that out into the universe, this space between me and the computer or me and my wall that looks like it's empty space is not empty space at all. It's full of photons and molecules that are, they're just invisible to the naked eye. And we literally send a message out. So we are a transmitter and a receiver because we receive back exactly what it is that we're sending out in that same vibration. So when people say, like, oh my gosh, I'm down on my luck, everything horrible just keeps happening to me over and over and over. Well, mostly it's because they keep focusing on everything that's going wrong in their life and they end up bringing more of that to them because that's the vibration that they are, the frequency that they're vibrating at. And then we see other people and it's like, my gosh, it's just like everything falls into place for you. You live the most dream life ever. It's like because they stay in that higher frequency and they expect it to happen. They're not waiting for the bad to happen. They're waiting for more good to happen because that's where they put their attention.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, I'm working on some changes in my business right now, and that involves letting go of some things that aren't working.
Yeah.
And just like you just said, I mean, you gotta be careful what you put out there. And I don't mean that in maybe I should rephrase that. Be mindful of what you put out there,
Yeah.
because my thoughts traveled to the, someone that I'm planning on letting go, and they actually sent an email along it, but I had never said anything. It was the
Oh,
craziest thing.
wow. So did this person then, did they send you the email telling you that they were going to resign from working with you? Or did they say, like, I'm getting a weird vibe from you?
They wanted to know what my plans were.
Oh my goodness, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And that's a thing that's something too. I know this is a little segue, and I want to come back because I love the energy part of this so much. But that's hard. I mean, I think it's hard as an entrepreneur,